Welcome to the Jamodi podcast. We are all surrounded by amazing coaches and leaders. So let's get an inside look at not just what they do, but how they do what they do. After all, becoming the best versions of ourselves is Jamodi, just a matter of doing it. The Jamodi podcast is powered by Sideline Interactive. Sideline Interactive is the leading manufacturer for high-quality, innovative scoring tables and LED video display boards that help coaches and schools bring more excitement to fans, create huge fundraising opportunities, and make their jobs easier. Visit sidelineinteractive.com to check out their amazing products. So from year to year, even though you do have the ability to recruit and go out and get the players, like you said, your guys, that are tough and all those things, those guys are pretty, he's unique. Does your style change from year to year based on the players that you have? Like for instance, are you going to have another guard shooting 30 footers and doing those things? And I guess maybe the answer is, well, if he can, does your style stay the same no matter what players are in there?
Yeah, no, we're going to recruit the best players and then figure out how to put them in the best situation to allow the team to be successful. I do want to recruit 30-foot spacing though. Like I want to find guys who can stretch the floor and shoot it from deep, because it just adds a whole nother layer to your offense, helps all the other guys become better too. Cause offense is spacing and spacing is offense, right? That's Rick Majerus.
Yeah.
And I just want to, so I do want to recruit that, but I'm going to hopefully be able to help guys operate, be the best version of themselves, not try to be somebody else.
Toughness. I read Jay Billis's book, Toughness, and it's something that's like you can see it. It's kind of harder to find. R.T. Gwynn. R.T. Gwynn, he's still playing overseas, coach. It's been like 20 years. He's still playing.
That's because he can shoot that.
That's thing. No doubt. That's the last thing to go right there. Yeah. But I was there a few years with him even before you guys came, and he's a 6'10", really strong guy with just the smoothest shot of people. And I need to say people like the message boards, fan things that would get frustrated with this. He wasn't going to bang down low and he wasn't going to do some of those things, but they didn't appreciate the fact that he was our best 3-point shooter at his size. But like, there's this idea of, so can you make a guy like RT, not that he wasn't tough, but can you make players tougher? Or are they who they are? Or even, how do you define that? How do you define toughness?
Well, for me, my definition of toughness is the ability to do the next right thing. Right. And that's like to me, that's the most important thing. Did you turn the ball over? What's the next right thing? Sprint back on defense. If you slouch your shoulder and drop your head, that's not the next right thing. Okay, so now you let one mistake lead to two. If you fail a test, the next right thing is go talk to your professor and see if you can do a makeup, like not hope it's going to go away and, that kind, or, go out and make another dumb decision. Well, I failed the test, so I'm not going to do this project because I can't pass the class.
Yeah.
When you have an argument with your wife, do you leave the house? Do you, the next right thing, do you go and say, okay, my fault, I messed up? So that just, what's the next right thing? And I think for players, if they think in that aspect, then they don't get caught up in what's going wrong, right? They okay, well, how can I make it right? And so people, when they think of toughness, they think of hitting and pushing and grabbing, and that's not necessarily toughness, And so, because I've got guys they're not soft, they're just not strong. So what do we have to do? We got to get them in the weight room, right? They're not afraid, to do the work. It's going to take time for them to get this. So I do believe guys can get tougher, but the place I think we can get them tougher the quickest is mentally.
Yeah.
And if we can do that, then the physical toughness or the willingness to be physically tough is easier for you.
Man, you're right on the money. Because I think so many players think of toughness as, okay, I need to be physically tough, which means I need to be intimidating or I need to react in a negative way. And from my personal experience, picking a fight with Horatio Llamas, who was a 7-foot, 300-pound player in Mexico in my mid-20s, and him breaking my eyesight. That wasn't tough. That was stupid. But I think that's what I did it because we were getting beat, and I felt like we weren't very tough. And coach, I'm going to show them, hey, I'm going to bring some toughness. That's just dumb. I think what you're talking about is control.
Yeah.
Toughness is being able to control those impulses when they happen. And to, like everything that you've said today, yeah, this helps in basketball, but man, more importantly, that's a life lesson. And you just mentioned it with all those attributes.
Yeah. Well, I heard actually listening to Corporate Competitor Pod this morning, finishing it, Denise Carroll. I think she's with XM Radio now, but she's done a lot of other things and was a former soccer player at Notre Dame. And she talked about the sprints that they had to do at the end of practice, right? And how coach told them, you always have 10 more minutes in you, right? Like, you run those sprints and you think, man, I can't do another one, right? But you always have 10 more minutes in you, right? And that's the mental that's the toughness that you got, where I always have 10 more minutes in me. Now, that other dude may not think he has it in him, even though he does, but I know I got it in me, right? And so, we're going to win these next 10 minutes because he's tired and he thinks he's tired. So that was a great lesson that I learned today.
But coach, when you're recruiting, like how do you find that out? I mean, obviously you could talk to a high school coach, select coach, talk to family and try to learn a little bit more about their character. But there's a part of it that, you might just find out when they're running ferals at 6 a.m. When they're, you might find out when in the weight room or something. But is there a way when you're recruiting to know that this guy has that ability to go 10 more minutes?
For transfer kids, right, I think we can get like a lot more research and a lot more data on them because they've been with a strength coach. They've done a 6 a.m. run and then had to go to class and then came back and did an individual and then, had to do a weightlifting session and then play open gym and then turn around and do the same thing again the next day, right? They've done that so we can find out, hey, who shows up to treatment, afterwards to prepare to win. Like who's the person who, shows up early and gets themselves warmed up so that they can have a good lift, and who drags in late, and, who stays after practice and gets up extra shots, and who's the guy you have to run out the gym. So we can do that. With high school kids, it's a little bit harder, right, to do that. But for me, I want to find guys who have won, right? Guys who have won state championships, they understand in a single elimination tournament, right, that at some point in time, you're going to be down and you got to get in that huddle and you got to say, fellas, we can do this. We can turn it on and, and come out and win that come back, whatever the adversity is, overcome it to win that last game. And guys who have done that, they understand the sacrifice that it takes to win, and they're more willing to make the sacrifice for the next win.
Thank you for checking out today's episode. Please take a moment to subscribe to this podcast, share it with your fellow coaches, and find us on social media for what's coming up next on the Jamodi podcast. It's just a matter of doing it.